Welcome to At Home with Music. Leon Olguin here. And I'd like to start with this quote. Our entire school system is based on the notion of passive students that must be taught if they are to learn. Our country spends tens of billions of dollars each year, not just giving students a second-rate education, but at the same time actively preventing them from getting an education on their own. And I'm angry at how school produces submissive students with battered egos. Most students have no idea of the true joys of learning and of how much they can actually achieve on their own. And this is a quote from a gentleman named Adam Robinson. He's an American educator, a freelance author, and a U.S. Chess Federation Life Master. And he is co-founder of the Princeton Review. One of the greatest advantages of homeschooling is that you can not only teach your children what they need to know in order to be functional adults, and I can think about all the things I was not taught in public school that I needed to know to be a functional adult. You can teach them those things, and you can also inspire in them a love of learning. Now, if you have a preschooler, or if you had a preschooler, chances are good that you noticed how excited they were about learning new things. Preschoolers, they ask a lot of questions, and they always want to explore on their own. I remember when my daughter, whom I homeschooled for 5 years back in the 90s, from grade 5 to 10, I used to go out in the front yard with her and then just let her wander around the neighborhood exploring things. Of course, I was always there right behind her, keeping an eye on her and make sure she didn't get too far away. But she loved to just walk around. She'd look at the flowers. She'd examine the trees. She'd see somebody walking a dog. She would just observe everything and just wander around. And I never told her where to go. I just let her explore. And then eventually guide her back to the house, and we'd go back inside. And she always asked a lot of questions, and I did my best to answer them. And if I didn't know the answer, I said, well, we're just gonna have to go look that up. Perhaps you've met, or perhaps you yourself were a high school student who seemed to hate school, and your love of learning was not in evidence. Just as a personal note, I did not like school very much. I became very good at memorizing stuff that I was taught or information that was imparted to me, and then I'd spit it back out on the tests. I became a really good test taker. And of course, I knew other high school students who hated school and didn't even try. They didn't even care if they got an F. Well, I tried to get all A's, but I never developed a love of learning at that point. I just developed a desire to get out of school. And unfortunately, this attitude persisted all the way through college. I didn't even like college that much, with the exception, and this is important, with the exception of what I was really interested in. And of course, for me, that was music. I had some wonderful music teachers. And so I really had a desire to learn those things and even go beyond what I was taught in the classroom. But as for those other classes, I had no interest in those things. I took the classes because I had to. I learned what I needed to learn, or I should say I memorized what I needed to memorize, spit it back out on the tests, get a good grade, and then promptly forget everything that had been imparted to me during the course of that class. So what was it that in our education system here in the United States, in the public schools, and even in some of the private schools, what is it that kills that love of learning? And maybe you're trying to instill that love of learning in your own children, in your homeschool. Well, how can you do that? Well, I want to talk about, first of all, what killed that desire to continue learning, and how you can begin to instill that desire in your children. So I look forward to telling you more about that in this series of videos, which by now you've probably figured out, these are mainly for you, the homeschool teacher. I have videos on At Home with Music that are for you to watch with your kids so that you can teach them different concepts when it comes to music and music appreciation and basic keyboard. This particular series of videos is for you, the teacher, to help you instill within your students, your children, a lifelong love of learning that will help them to grow up into industrious, productive adults who will continue to learn for the rest of their lives. So thanks for watching. Please like this video if you found it helpful, if you found it encouraging, and also if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so, and also consider sharing this video and any other video on the At Home with Music YouTube channel with other homeschool families you know, or just about anybody who might be interested in learning more about the big, wide, wonderful world of music. Thanks again.